Here's the latest. Donald Trump's proposed tariffs leading officials in Canada to weigh export taxes on key commodities shipped into the U.S. Sources saying the move is seen as the last resort by the Canadian government, with taxes set to drive up costs for U.S. consumers, farmers, and businesses. Joining us now is Bloomberg's Mike Shepard. Mike, great to see you. Thank you so much for being with us. I want to just start there. How much have we heard some rumblings of what the tit for tat and the retaliatory tariffs would look like from some of the other countries that the U.S. might be going after?
They haven't gotten to nearly as much detail as what we've heard from Canada already. Earlier this week, in fact, we heard Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau address a business group there in Halifax and warning that retaliatory tariffs, the initial response to any imposed by the U.S., would be immediately on the table. And now we're getting a sense that they would go a few steps further, and that includes export controls and taxes on exports. And this would hit key products coming into the U.S. We're talking about oil, we're talking about uranium, we're talking about potash. These are all real critical inputs. The U.S. imports 4 million barrels of oil per day from Canada, and that would have an immediate effect, especially in the Midwest, in mountain states where a lot of that fuel is refined and sold. Likewise with potash, it's a key input for fertilizer used by farmers across the country. So that would have a big effect. It would not be great for Canada either, and Trudeau's own compatriots are not all aboard with that. Some politicians in Western Canadian provinces are cool to the idea of certainly of Trump imposing tariffs on Canadian goods, but the response, including export taxes, would be much more severe. We do, to your question, Lisa, though, in conversations with officials from other countries, we are not getting to that granular level of detail. They are much more in wait-and-see mode. And while they, as Congressman Hill alluded, see it as sort of an opening shot in negotiations, they don't want to show their cards too early, it would seem.
But sounds like potentially, if Canada were to lean into this idea and to do this, that the Trump administration would probably offer carve-outs for commodities, would they not?
Well, that is what a lot of observers are saying, Anne-Marie, and that's a great question because one of the ways that they could minimize the impact on U.S. consumers and businesses would be to exempt oil and concentrate instead of more finished goods like automobiles and auto parts and things of that nature. But again, it is early, and if they really wanted to have an impact and send a message to Canada about what Trump wants, remember, this is not really about economics. This is about the border. Trump is using the threat of tariffs to try to extract policy concessions when it comes to border enforcement. He's waving this threat against Canada and even more so against Mexico, where he's concerned that the flow of undocumented migrants and fentanyl into this country is causing problems here. And he wants our neighbors to do more, and he's using tariffs to try to get them to do that.
Well, Justin Trudeau is planning a major announcement on border security because of that. So is Trump's negotiating tools working?
Well, maybe in a way, and it's that is certainly one way to put it and look at it, that he has gotten both those countries' attention. In fact, the new Mexican president, Claudia Sheinbaum, has also tried to make some steps of her own. She has reached out also to Donald Trump, just as Justin Trudeau has. You'll remember Trudeau even flew to Mar-a-Lago for a one-on-one dinner, a dinner with Donald Trump, and spent some time with him also on the phone. She has also called Trump and tried to take some steps that she can follow through on when it comes to the border and drug enforcement there. But Trump will be asking for more. And remember, when it comes to the negotiation, as Congressman Hill alluded to, the USMCA deal between the U.S., Canada, and Mexico that Trump forged during his first term, that is up for review in 2026. So this is also a warning shot ahead of that conversation with the two neighbors.
Shep, just big picture here, is it really that unusual that Canada has a game plan for worst case scenarios? Can we not expect that most countries confronted with tariffs coming from the U.S., that everybody has some sort of idea of what they might do in a tit for tat trade war?
Well, in conversations recently with other major officials from other major U.S. trading partners, one thing that struck me was the detailed level of knowledge they had about their trade flows, including with the U.S. So, yes, they have a pretty good idea of where to hit the U.S. and how to make it hurt. And in fact, when you look at U.S. trade, the last time that we got into it with tariffs in Canada, they went right after things that were distinctly American: Harley-Davidson motorcycles, Kentucky bourbon, Heinz ketchup. So these are the kinds of things that send a message, not only economically, but politically as well, and get the U.S. government and administration's attention.